Hey everybody, and welcome to a new video. It's springtime here in the Northern Hemisphere, and many of you now recovering from winter are starting to think of spending more time exploring the nature around you. What a great time to hike to a waterfall and get some photos. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to get great waterfall pics and show you a couple of special effects right in camera to get your photos to stand out from the crowd. Okay, what do we need to do this equipment-wise? Just a camera with a wide-angle lens is best, like this 14 to 35, and a tripod. Boots so that you can wade into the water for interesting views is a good idea too. Now when you arrive, don't worry about your settings yet. The first thing to do is to find a good composition. A great waterfall photo needs to be better and more artistically inclined than the equivalent of holding up your phone and taking a snapshot. A good trick is something interesting in the foreground, waterfall in the background. What I like to do to help me visualize compositions is to walk around with the back LCD open in a position that helps me scope out the shot. The equivalent of the movie director doing this, I'm using an external monitor here to help me record the electronic viewfinder on my camera so that you can see what my camera sees. But usually I would just use the back LCD. Getting down low is a good idea to find compositions. Look for tree roots, rocks, and faster water as potential artistic elements. Don't forget to try both vertical and horizontal and zooming in and out to get the best scale for your shot. This composition looks like it will work. Framing a bit wider than you need to crop to taste or to level is a good idea. Mine is a bit off level here, for example, as the weight of my monitor and my precarious position of my tripod allowed it to drift a little bit. No big deal. Okay, fast water on the lower right and the falls on the upper left. While the water is flowing from left to right downwards, I actually expect the viewer's eye to go the other way, from the lower right leading to the upper left, giving the photo a bit of a visual flow. Now let's get some of these settings right. I'm going to use manual mode so I can control all the settings individually. Single point autofocus, one shot mode. I'm also going to set the shutter to the 2-second timer to eliminate any shutter press vibrations. Now let's set our ISO to 100. Given we're on a tripod, we can use longer shutter speeds to let in plenty of light, so we don't need a high ISO to brighten the image, for example. Then our aperture, f8, f9, or f10 will be the sweet spot for most wide-angle lenses. This is because lenses are both sharper at those apertures than wide open, and also the small aperture gives a deep depth of field, so everything will be in focus. Then we just adjust the shutter speed last as the way to get the right image brightness. We make it as long or as short as needed to get the right exposure. Using your histogram to make sure you're not blowing highlights is a good idea. 1/30th of a second in this case. Now the best way to ensure to get all of the scene in focus is to place the focus point to 1/3 the way into the scene. That's just how depth of field works with wide-angle lenses, and that will get the most of the scene in focus. 2/3 behind the focus point and 1/3 in front of it. Now take a few test shots to see if you like your framing and check to see if all is in focus. Looks good. Now it's time to start adding some creative flair to our photos. First, I'm going to experiment with lengthening my shutter speed to give the water the sense of movement. I'm using this neutral density or ND filter from Kase, which is my brand of choice for filters. I like how this one just attaches magnetically to the front of the lens, so no screwing around, pun intended, to get it in and risk dropping it into the water. Don't ask how I know that this might be a problem. An ND filter is simply a darkening filter. This one darkens the image by 6 stops of light. What it does in this case, it forces me to use a longer shutter speed to get a brighter image. And in doing so, allows the water to move more during the exposure, making it streak and implying some movement. See how the image starts off as too dark, and as I need to lengthen the shutter speed to get the right exposure, like 3.2 seconds now. Note how the water now gets a nice silky look. Now you can experiment with tweaking the shutter speed and the aperture a bit to get the streaks of water the way you want. And there's no right answer here. Some people will like the water that's silky smooth that might take 10 seconds. Others like a frozen motion type of look that you might get at 1/10 or 1/30th of a second. Now we're going to use another trick, reducing the glare in the water to see if I like it better with or without. Now how will I do this? I'm going to use a circular polarizer. This will cut through any reflected light to reveal what's underneath. Now this should add a little bit more color to the water, for example. Some filters are stackable where you can stack a polarizer on top of an ND, but I'm going to use this combination ND and polarizer from Kase, 2-in-1. Now see, as I spin the polarizer, it changes how much reflected light is removed. Again, this is an artistic choice. Some photos may look better with the reflections, others with less. You're the boss here. So now I darken the image so that I can get the shutter speed I want to streak the water and adjust the polarizer to reduce the glare and get more color in the water. And finally, I crop my image, process it to taste. And how you process your photo is up to you. But my strategy here is to get any clutter or busy areas a bit darker to keep your eye from being drawn to them. I hope you get to hike to your favorite waterfall soon and get your own unique and amazing waterfall photos. I know you can do it.